Welcome to Monday Morning Quarterback, a weekly feature of Cannon Church. I'm Tim Emmett, the senior pastor at Cannon, and on Monday mornings we connect the message from Sunday, the game of football, and the week ahead. In 1969, when Chuck Noll became the head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers, he inherited a team that knew nothing but losing. They were lovable losers. They had some characters and a couple good players, but they always found a way to lose. No matter how hard they played, how close they came, they could always find a way to snatch defeat from the jaws of victory. In his first meeting with the team in their first summer camp, Noll told the players that he'd been watching the film and he could tell them why they'd been losing. All of those players sat up on the edge of their seat, eager to hear what their coach would tell them. They had been killing themselves trying to win, and they could not figure out why things never went their way, why they always came out losers. I've been watching the film. I can tell you why you're losing, said Noll. It's not because of your attitude or your effort. You have good attitudes and you play hard, you try hard. It's not any of that. The reason you're losing is because you're not good enough. You're not strong enough, you're not fast enough, you can't jump high enough, you're not skilled enough. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to get rid of most of you and we'll move on. 5 years later, when the Steelers won their first Super Bowl, there were only 5 players from that 69 team still on the roster. Noll did what he said. He got rid of most of them. He fired them. That's a strange story for the day after Easter Sunday, but bear with me for a moment. Yesterday was Easter, and I preached on the promise of Easter from Mark chapter 16, verses 1 through 8, in which a young man in a white robe, an angel, tells 3 women who've come to the tomb of Jesus that Jesus isn't there. He has been raised. And then he says to them, go tell the disciples and Peter that he's going ahead of them to Galilee. They'll see him there. In other words, Jesus, who was crucified, has been raised, and none of you are fired. No, you're not fast enough, strong enough, cannot jump high enough. You are not skilled enough, courageous enough, faithful enough, wise enough, deep enough, spiritual enough. Not even Peter, though, is going to get fired. The disciples had all fled from Jesus, abandoned Jesus, left him alone in his time of need. Peter, even worse, denied Jesus. 3 times he denied him, said, I don't know who he is. I certainly wasn't with him. I'm not one of his followers. And yet Jesus says to these men, the risen Jesus calls these men, these disciples, to follow him. None of them get fired. So what's the game plan for this week? Well, here's the empty tomb. And the game plan is simple. Get it and go. Jesus has been raised, and none of us are fired. We're not strong enough, faithful enough, courageous enough, loving enough, deep enough, joyful enough, peaceful enough. We're not any of those things, and yet we are called by the risen Christ to follow him on the way of the cross, follow him into and toward the coming kingdom of God. So here's the game plan, right? We're going to get it and go. Get the ball, get the gospel, and then go. Tell others, share the good news that Christ has been raised, and we all are called, all of us, to follow him. That's the game plan for the week. I hope you have a great week.